was one of the early birds. I was one of the rags.
Nearly half of all the hospital beds in England and Wales are occupied by people who are mentally ill. And it is estimated that 1 out of every 9 women and 1 out of every 14 men will at some time during their lives require treatment for a nervous or mental disorder.
Well, I went to grammar school and I took some GCSE, you know, like you usually do, O-levels, and I only got 2, you see. And I was kicked out of school.
What was that, for bad behaviour?
No, not bad behaviour, because I failed in my exams and they think I was a worthwhile prospect, you see. I realised something was wrong because I could hear murmurings or kind of voices in my head, you know, to a certain extent. I realised something was wrong and I seemed to be in half a dream world. I don't know exactly how to describe it, but everything seemed to be going slow and just like these shots you get on the moon, like weird music accompanying it, and it seemed to be just, everything seemed to be static and slow and quite frightening, really, you know, and I thought people were talking about me and everything, you know.
What happens to when the funds run low and you're still craving for liquor?
Well, I've sunk so low as to buy surgical spirits, which is, I know it's a terrible thing. It says on the bottle, quite plain enough, for external use only, and I still drink it.
How much of that sort of stuff do you drink?
I drink about 2 or 3 bottles a day.
Is this a physical thing, would you say, or purely in the mind? Do you feel depressed without a drink?
No, I think it's in the mind, to me. It's mental.
It is?
Yes.
Are they always women's voices that you hear, or are they always women's voices that you hear?
No, there's a female and a male.
Yeah.
There's one in the ear. The female's in the ear, the other's in the top.
Yeah. And what sort of things do they say to you then, Ernie?
Oh, to say outcast, that's foolish talk, nonsense talk. Not no sense in it.
You were telling me all these voices in your head were caused by radar. But this is really persecution, surely.
It's what?
Persecution, isn't it? To have these voices for 10 years.
It is. They're a bloody nuisance, that's what they are.
Why should you want to take an overdose of tablets?
Depression. Just being depressed all the time. Some horrible feeling.
And you really wanted to die, did you?
Yes, at the time, yes.
At the time?
Yes.
Mental illness, then, is a major social problem. But the public are gradually beginning to recognize the size of the problem, and much of the fear and the prejudice surrounding it is disappearing. This is encouraging to us, because we now realize that we're not fighting this problem alone. Mental illness, in many ways, is more severe than other forms of illness, because it can be so very disabling to the individual, and because of the enormous strain it throws upon the whole family. Fortunately, nowadays, it's not necessary for everybody to come into hospital for treatment. A great many are seen in outpatient departments, treated in the psychiatric units of general hospitals, and an increasing number are treated in our day hospitals.
This is a psychiatric day hospital, part of the Community Mental Health Centre in Plymouth. Here, there are day rooms for adult patients, a clinic for disturbed children, consulting rooms and offices for the staff. Here, people can receive treatment without being completely separated from their families. Patients arrive after breakfast, go home again after tea. This also gives their families relief from the strain of trying to cope on their own 24 hours a day.
Absolutely, all right? Really hot in here.
That's central heating.
The day hospital has a warm, slightly club-like atmosphere, more informal than most ordinary hospitals. The nurses, men and women, don't wear uniform. Patients are encouraged to do as much as they can for themselves, to be as independent as possible.
How about your hat as well?
Some of the day patients are elderly and confused. Families caring for elderly relatives often feel guilty about seeking any outside help. Out of love for the old person, they may struggle on alone far too long. But this is one of the things that a day hospital is for. Not only can it care for the old person during the day, but also staff, from their experience, may be able to suggest ways of handling which will help things at home.
Through the day, you know, she just wanders around and picks up things and hides it away. Yes. And she plays with the fire. Does she? Mm-hmm. This is very dangerous. So you really can't leave her? No, she's not allowed to be left. The doctor said that.
How would you feel about an old people's home? You wouldn't like that? No. But of course something must be done. It's too big a strain for the family. This is why we want her to come to the day hospital. So that we can look after her for you during the day. I think if she comes here and she takes her medicine, that she'll be a lot calmer and happier, and you'll be able to manage. It'll only be the night time, and then she'll have something to help her to sleep.
Will you give me the medicine tonight?
Yes, I'll give you the medicine to take home. Give her one before she goes to sleep, and she should sleep through the night. Can you put both hands up? That's the way. And now your wrist, bend it.
Left to themselves, many patients would just sit and do nothing. They feel so depressed or isolated that nothing seems worth the effort. Doing a few exercises together is part of encouraging a small step forward. And it wakes up the circulation, so everybody feels warmer.
Open and close. And rest.
Well, ladies, up yourself.
Day hospitals help patients with a wide variety of mental illnesses. The new treatments and new attitudes to mental illness mean that many patients can gradually lead almost ordinary lives again. Each new patient discovers that everyone else here also has an illness to cope with. That in itself can be a support and an encouragement.
I had a complete nervous breakdown 2.5 years ago. I cried for 6 solid months. Never stopped till they got me in here and got me interested in mixing with people. And it's opened for me an entirely new life. You see, when you have bad nerves, the outside world, they don't understand you out doing here. That you think before you come here, you're the only one that has it, you see. But when you get here and you see people that are worse than yourself, then that does you a world of good.
New ways of helping patients have come about partly because of the discovery of effective drugs, and partly because of a gradual change in public attitude to mental illness. Most people no longer consider it as something disgraceful which must be shut away. Nowadays, psychiatric nurses are nurses, not attendants, and they train to be part of the psychiatric team with doctors and social workers. In the day hospital, the nursing staff meet every morning to discuss the progress of current patients and the needs of new ones. And the student nurses are involved from the start as part of the group.
She was seen by the psychiatrist and referred to attend the day hospital 5 days weekly. The second admission is Mr. B. Hartley, age 43, of St. Jude's. Ian, you know this man, so perhaps you'd like to present him, please.
Yes. Now, he was referred by his GP to our outpatient department. He was a radio operator in the Merchant Navy and was divorced 5 years ago. And since then, he's been making mistakes in his work, and subsequently he became tense and anxious. To relieve this tension, like many, he started drinking heavily and was discharged from the Merchant Navy a year ago. His chief complaints now are of depression and loneliness, and I think he needs resocialization.
Ian, why don't you look in the eye, please? Sure.
Resocialization is nursing jargon for learning how to get on with other people again. For someone who's been ill, this can be difficult and worrying. It may need a big effort and a lot of encouragement even to try. Part of the nurse's work is to give that encouragement, help patients to make that step.
The main idea of this hospital, in general, is to make ourselves see us as we really are and generally accept ourselves for being what we are. And when this acceptance comes, you live a happier life. You're not forever running away or dodging or anybody. You're going to a place where everybody knows about you, and it is kind of a freedom which exists which you've never thought of before.
Day hospitals, outpatients department, the family doctor can all help. But for some people, a complete rest away from their usual surroundings is important. And so they come for a time as inpatients to a psychiatric hospital. The average length of stay nowadays in an admission ward is 6 weeks. Most patients are voluntary, like this girl, arriving with her mother and the social worker. The unexpected thing is how undramatic much of it is. Mental illness doesn't mean that people go around looking mad, as this social worker explains.
I think it's sometimes quite misleading to just look at people as they appear. Their appearance belies what is really happening to them. When someone comes into hospital looking untroubled, at least superficially, and calm, well-dressed, and not obviously showing any symptom of distress, one has to try to understand what has occurred, which has required their needing psychiatric help and advice. And this is Shirley's mother.
How do you do? If you'd like to just come along with me and I'll get Nurse to show you into bed and show you around the ward and introduce you to a couple of people to help you settle in. Okay.
Sometimes people can get dreadfully depressed owing to family problems or to personal worries, which they don't always tell anyone about. And therefore, a psychiatric hospital can sometimes provide the setting where people can discuss with someone in confidence what has taken place, what is worrying them. And of course, it's important to see the relatives and to give them the opportunity of giving one an idea of what has gone wrong.
She's been terribly disappointed and she's been going for different situations, and because she hasn't had typing qualifications, she's been turned down. Has she been crying a lot? No, she hasn't been crying a lot, but she's been terribly irritable. Yes. I mean, we just haven't been able to live for her. And doesn't matter what we did, it wasn't right. We just couldn't seem to please her anyway at all. What about her sleeping? Has she been sleeping at all? Not terribly good, no. She hasn't slept very well at all, because her bed is just opposite mine in the bedroom. We have twin beds, like, you know. And I can hear it because I don't sleep terribly good at night either myself.
When someone comes into hospital, we are trying as far as possible to look at the whole family and see why it is that the patient particularly has these worries, but whether there's anything else in the family that's taken place. And whether, in fact, someone else in the family needs far more help, even than the person who has sought the help of the psychiatrist.
Just pull yourself together. If there's anything you want, you can always get hold of me or get the nurse to ring me, or whoever wants to ring me at work, and I can bring it up.
Treatment may be a combination of things: drugs, physical treatment, group discussions. Some illnesses may be largely cured by drugs alone, or drugs may help a patient to reach the point at which they're able to face and reconsider the difficulties and fears which are driving them to illness in the first place.
What about the patients there?
Group discussion of problems can give individuals in that group support and encouragement in working out their difficulties.
What do you think one should do about them? This patient is asking when I'm going to let her go home. Does the rest of the group feel that there may be a reason why she should be kept here?
Be quiet. I am.
No, I'm trying to help you.
Am I, Doctor?
That is a patient as well. I mean, a doctor doesn't keep them here unnecessarily.
No. Will you sign my discharge paper?
Yes, I'm wondering, though, whether or not, in fact, we are now seeing a situation such as we talked of earlier, where a patient feels she should go home and perhaps is unable to appreciate the reasons why she's been kept in hospital. And I'm wondering whether the rest of the group, hearing what has just been said by this patient, whether they feel, in fact, that there is a reason why she should remain here.
You may think you're well, Mildred, but the doctors may think different. Dr. Hubble knows I'm well. You must know I'm well, Dr. Hubble.
I think this patient hasn't reached the stage of realisation yet.
Really?
Yes, and I think it's part of your illness not to face up to reality. You don't face up to your problems right away. You just give them a miss until you realise, well, you're better. But some people do feel ill when they come in, but they don't realise why.
How many times I've been here, for goodness sake? 6 times or 7 times? Well, I only come from the holidays, that's all.
50% is up to the patient, surely, Doctor. You've got to have the will to get better.
I'm better.
The will to get better and not come back again.
Oh, I'm not coming back again.
Yes, but you say that, Mildred, but you've already said that you rely on the place. You think it's lovely holiday.
If I fall ill, I'll come back again. That's all I know. I couldn't care less.
You accept the place. I've accepted the place. I accept the food, everything, the staff, everything. I think it's a marvellous hospital. You've got to accept it to get better.
It's a holiday for me.
No, I don't think it's funny, Mildred.
Oh, I do. I think it's fun.
I don't think so.
I
think it's serious.
No, I can't be serious.
Too.
I can't be serious. Oh, I must be off. Crumbs, I've never laughed to myself.
You come in contact with...
Why do you think this patient's got up and walked out?
Mildred can't help it. It's just the way that she's made. She is ill and she doesn't like to accept it. And she wants to be on with her father.
Do you think really that this patient is saying that it's necessary to be aware of the reason for one's presence in hospital in order to accept it?
Of course, a psychiatric admission ward is different to a medical ward, but it's not as different as people imagine who've never visited a psychiatric hospital. One of the things that is different is the job of the nurse. Patients spend the first few days in bed. After that, they're mostly up and about. The special part of a psychiatric nurse's job is to spend as much time as possible with the patients, joining in activities, as far as possible sharing day-to-day ward life, on hand to listen to their problems and fears when the patient wants to talk. This is the ideal. If a hospital is short-staffed, it's not always possible. But when it is achieved, this kind of nursing gives a lot back to the nurses themselves.
The real reward is when you see a person come in who's acutely ill, really ill, and after, say, perhaps sometimes 6 to 8 weeks, especially on an admission ward, he goes out again and he's well. I think this is the real reward. When you shake his hand and say cheerio, and you know that he's going out and he's well and he's not going to come back, and you get a tremendous satisfaction of thinking that you were a small part of the big team, just doing something for somebody. You know that another human being is going and living life and enjoying life. You feel great satisfaction in that. How old are you, Mrs. Axford? How old are you?
I told you. Didn't you hear?
No.
88 come July the 6th.
Can you remember the names of all your children? Or your grandchildren?
Of course I can.
Tell
I
me
got
them.
one 45 years of age, one my first grandchild.
Good love.
And he's got 5 children.
5? How old are they then?
Oh, lad, I told you then come step after step, but that's what I'm telling you, great-grandchildren, that is. That's 5 of them.
Any really baby ones,
Oh, I'm coming on just the same now. I'm still carrying on the game.
Do they come to see you?
Oh, yes, they come to see me too. Some of them now and again. I can't be worried with all that lot.
It's a bit much all at once,
They're better
isn't it?
for them not to come. There's so many as that.
Have a party all on your own?
Oh, my dear, I should say so.
How would you like to cut sandwiches for all that lot?
They can't be no different. They got to behave themselves when they comes to see me.
This afternoon I want to demonstrate doing fasten a place in his bed for you.
I think the rewards of mental nursing is that the variety in the work. There's always something going on, something different, a new form of treatment or a new type of patient or something that you haven't come across. Mental nursing is still in its infancy, and the whole field of psychiatry is still very new compared with nursing in other fields. And it's very rewarding at times for the nurse to feel that he has been in on the threshold of a new treatment or a new form of therapy.
Extra bone formation, and you'd see this marked up here. And you can also see the shift of the pineal gland, but you can't see it on the lateral so well.
We have a very strict training program, but it's so well put out that unless you're not interested, then you can't help but learn right the way through your training. And at the end of 3 years, when you become a staff nurse, I hope, and all this experience and all this learning has produced a good nurse. From there on, sky's the limit. You can, there's any amount of roads open once you've reached a staff nurse. I want to become a tutor. Whether I'll ever get it or not, I don't know. I shall try very hard.
Because during the day staff carry considerable responsibility, it's important that off duty they can relax and enjoy a good social life. Most hospitals have their own social club.
I expect some of you know it, so most of you do. It's been a very popular folk song for quite a long time. This is called 500 Miles.
If you miss the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can hear the whistle blow 100 miles. Lord, I'm one, Lord, I'm two, Lord, I'm three, Lord, I'm four, Lord, I'm 500 miles from my home. Away from home, cold and tired and all alone. Yes, I'm 500 miles from my home.
I think mental nursing is making relationships with patients. This is the biggest thing, in my opinion. We've mentioned, you know, the textbook things about having tact and persuasion and the ability to counsel and listen and reassure. But these are things that really come with practice. It's the ability to get on with people, to have an interest in human affairs and to have something to offer. It's important to have some sort of skill, whether it be a skill in just talking or a skill in being able to converse and relate to other people. It's just a question, really, of being an ordinary person. This is the thing, being an ordinary person and wanting to help other people. Sympathy, understanding, kindness.